Hey, this is Michael Lindsay from Vital MX. We're in the land of the rising sun, the home of dirt bikes. We're in Japan. Specifically, we're at Fujisawa Raceway. Suzuki's got us out here for the entire week. We're checking out the factory, and we got the chance to come out and ride a true works bike. We're riding what's basically the 2018 Suzuki Z450WS. So what's always really interesting about the All Japan National bikes is the combination of pure works trickery and also the ability to see what's coming down the pipeline. There's a lot of parts on these bikes that are one-off we'll never see, but there's also a lot of great hints, mostly coming from basic engine cases, the engine architecture, and the chassis on what we're gonna see in 2018 from Suzuki. In the case of the engine, we're a little bit limited on what info we get. We know there's a lot of trick parts in here, but at the same time, what's really cool is some of the stuff in Japan, like the fuel rules, very basic. They run a very standard pump gas, so it's a really cool idea to ride these bikes and know, yeah, they're more powerful than what we'll probably see from production, but at the same time, it's closer than some of the US race bikes. In the case of this engine, we're actually dealing with a works transmission. It is a 4-speed. The actual engine itself is really interesting to ride. You always hear guys talk about when we ride factory bikes, how easy to ride but powerful at the same time they are. In this case, it comes on extremely mellow, builds through a great mid-range, and revs pretty much better than almost any production 450 you'll ever touch. It makes it extremely easy to ride, but at the same time, it feels so much faster than a production bike. In the case of the suspension, we're dealing with works Showa units. The rear shock is a BFRC, bounce-free rear cushion, which has not reached production yet, although there are some rumors of us getting one soon. A lot of the teams in the GPs run this, and in Japan. It's real free-feeling motion. It has a lot of rebound action. It tracks really good on high-speed chatter. The forks is a little more like what we're seeing with the production units getting bigger and bigger. We're getting that closer gap, but still this works fork is really interesting because it is spring, but it has the ability to be air assist. The setting we did run, though, has neutral air. We're just dealing with the standard spring setting. In the case of the chassis, we can't confirm or deny yet if this is exactly what the 18 production bike will be. This is definitely a workhorse, a pre-prototype bike that they've been putting a lot of time on and a lot of development, but it does give us an idea of what handling characteristics they're looking at bringing out to the public. Suzuki's always been extremely well known for a great touring bike. It has a lot of static front end pressure. There's just a lot of constant weight up there. It just grips all the time. For me personally, I've not always been exactly the hugest fan of that because I feel like the tipping point at which it breaks loose and when it goes down is a little more violent because it does have so much traction all the time. For me, I've sometimes struggled in the past with the bikes being able to carry them through longer corners. It seems like with the works chassis they're working with right now, the bike is much easier to just lay in a corner and just carve all the way out. It still has a lot of great front end traction, but at the same time, it's so much easier to just lay this bike in and let it basically follow its own path around. I could go on and on about all the details of this. It's pretty hard to sit down and talk about, so make sure you scroll down below to check out the ride out I've got in there. It'll give you all the details of all the works part and some of our observations on what's gonna be factory and what we think is gonna make it to production. Thanks for checking it out, and make sure you look back for more of the awesome tidbits we're gonna have from Japan from our week here.